The Democratic Party just imploded on live television, folks. Hakeem Jeffries, their so-called leader, the man that they propped up as the next Obama, probably just a fake Obama, is being thrown overboard by his own base. MSNBC is calling him to be primaried. Social media is demanding his head, and Democrat voters are flat out saying it. Jeffries is weak, useless, and finished. And here's a kicker, guys. All of this chaos proves exactly what Donald J. Trump warned America about. Trump said the Democrats stood for nothing but resistance, that they were hollow, that they were fake, and destined to collapse under their own lies. Well, now here it is. It's happening, and it's happening in real time. But it gets worse for them because while Jeffries is clapping for a strongly worded letter, the Democrat base is screaming for war. They want blood in the streets. They want their politicians to risk their lives, and instead, they got word salads and excuses. Now, I'm going to show you guys the moment that broke the camel's back. Meanwhile, over at the White House, President Trump's team is facing down a hostile media that is melting down in public. Reporters are mocking Trump's faith, attacking his peace deals, and trying to spin total failure. But the truth? Trump's administration clearly is smart. They're strategic, and they're fighting for the American people with more strength and more compassion than Democrats ever could have dreamed of. And so the more the media screams, the more obvious the contrast becomes. Now, hang out with me, guys, because today, I'm going to show you how Jeffries collapsed, and his collapse actually exposes the Democrat Party's civil war, why the Democrat base is panicking and turning on its own leaders as we speak, and how Trump was right all along and is now proving it with decisive patriotic leadership that actually protects Americans. Now, if you appreciate the news updates, please take a second, hit the like button for the video. Really do appreciate you guys. Helps me battling the daily YouTube algorithm struggles. So the cracks inside the Democratic Party are no longer cracks. They're full-blown fractures at this point. So on one side, you have Hakeem Jeffries, the so-called leader of the Democrats, right? Getting kicked around, mocked, and even primaried by his own base. But on the other side, you have the Biden hangover still kind of lingering, and a Democrat machine that once screamed resistance, and more resistance. Yeah. But now they can't even hold a press conference, not without collapsing in embarrassment. And while all of this chaos unfolds, President Donald J. Trump is in the White House, leading with strength and clarity. While Trump is negotiating these peace deals left and right, folks, he's reshoring the jobs. Many people are celebrating in the streets that, factories that had closed down in their towns are now reopening. He's protecting jobs. He's protecting our borders. Democrats are panicking. They're eating their own alive, and they're proving once again that Trump was right all along. But let's start with the straw that broke the camel's back. So last week, Hakeem Jeffries, he went on camera and praised, wait for it, a strongly worded letter. That's right, guys. So while his base screams for action, screaming for their leaders to fight against Trump, to save democracy, to put everything on the line, Jeffries applauded a letter from the DC Attorney General questioning Trump's authority over the police. Now, think about that for a second, okay? The Democrats, they spent 8 years calling Trump Hitler, a dictator, a fascist. Yeah, but here's the thing. When their big chance comes to stand up, Jeffries claps like a seal for a piece of paper. This is why he's getting clowned. So now here's the tension, guys. Some are going to say that Jeffries is being responsible, following legal processes, right? But his own supporters see him as a weak figurehead, a man who basically hides behind letters while Trump takes decisive action. That's the problem. Democrats turned the temperature up so high, told their voters, that the country was on the brink of dictatorship, that, now anything less than all-out war looks like surrender. They essentially wanted dramatic resistance. They wanted sacrifice. They want riots in the streets, looting, and instead they got Jeffries with his strongly worded applause line. Now, okay, this is why his own people are turning on him. And believe me, folks, the backlash is only just beginning. Now, I'm going to show you guys how the Democrat bases, they're not just grumbling, okay? They're revolting. Social media is on fire. MSNBC is openly calling for Jeffries to be primaried. And radicals like Zoran Mondami and AOC are circling like vultures, ready to take the carcass of the Democratic Party for themselves. So you're not going to want to miss this, guys. But let me ask you something. What is more important to you? Paying less, keeping your doctor or getting more benefits. Here's the thing, you really shouldn't have to choose, but too many people settle for less because they never had someone walk them through their options. This is why I partnered with Chapter. Their team listens, they ask questions second, and they help you to uncover what you really want from your plan. Now think about it. If your plan didn't cost you more, kept your doctors, and even gave you extra benefits, would you say yes? Most people do because it just makes sense. Viewers like Mark King, he said, it felt like talking to a family member who had my best interests at heart. So let me ask, what's stopping you from just checking? Most people are already calling right now, 909-563-8279, the number at the bottom of your screen, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. The best time to find out is while everybody else is locking in their plans, not after. So here's really where things explode. The outrage against Jeffries isn't coming from Republicans. It's actually coming from independents. It's coming from his own base. On social media, Democrats are fuming. They're calling Jeffries weak, useless, unfit. Some are outright demanding that he step down. Does anybody think Jeffries should step down from his position? Now, of course, others are promising to fund challengers in his own district. And this anger has jumped from fringe activists into the mainstream. Yes, MSNBC, folks, they are now openly suggesting Jeffries should be primaried. They're talking about Zoran Mondami. Like, they're talking about AOC. They're talking about Bernie Sanders types stepping up to replace Hakeem Jeffries. Now, this is the Democrat nightmare right here, right now. Their establishment crumbling while their grassroots pushes further and further far left. A socialist takeover from within, if you will. And let's be real, folks, Jeffries cannot survive that because the Democrat Party is now split between two doomed paths. The establishment that stands for nothing and, of course, radicals who stand for chaos. But either way, Trump was right. The party is eating itself alive. But while Democrats are stabbing each other in the back, something else is happening in Washington, D.C. that shows just how far they've fallen. So let's talk about the press conference that turned into full-blown circus mode, okay? The media thought that they had their moment to embarrass Trump's administration. They came in sneering, mocking, and desperate for a win. But instead, they got humiliated in front of an entire country. Caroline Leavitt, Trump's press secretary, faced down a firing squad of hostile reporters. They mocked Trump's comments about seeking peace to get to heaven. They tried to twist Trump's motives into a joke. But Caroline, she didn't even flinch. She said the president was serious. Now, let's be clear, guys. This is where the contrast could not be any sharper. On the one side, Democrats are furious at Jeffries for being weak. But on the other side, Trump is being mocked for having compassion, for wanting peace, for wanting to make the world safer, for thinking about something bigger than politics. Now, ask yourself, who looks like the real leader here? The guy applauding a letter or the president staying up until 2 a.m. negotiating with world leaders to end wars and to protect Americans, right? And so this is just the start of the meltdown because when reporters tried to corner Caroline Leavitt with questions about Putin, Ukraine, and Europe, it backfired badly. So we're going to talk about that in just a second. But here's the fatal flaw that led us right here. For years, Democrats, they built their entire identity on one thing: hating Trump. Think about it, guys. Like, they told their supporters Trump was Hitler. They said that he was a fascist. They said Trump's a dictator and the end of democracy itself and maybe even the end of the world for all we know, right? They claimed women would lose their rights, minorities would be oppressed, and America was going to turn into some kind of authoritarian nightmare. After selling that apocalyptic vision, their supporters expected action. They expected Democrats to fight like their lives depended on it, right? But what did they actually deliver? Nothing burgers, empty stunts, protests that went nowhere, and Hakeem Jeffries clapping for a strongly worded letter. Wow. The result? Total collapse in confidence, guys. So the Democrat base no longer trusts their own leaders. They see it, we see it, and now the whole country sees it. Trump said it would happen. He did. And sure enough, it did. And so now let's go ahead and peel back just another layer of this chaos here, because the Jeffries rebellion isn't just about Trump. It's about the Democratic Party's identity crisis. So on MSNBC, one commentator flat out admitted it. The Democrat Party is being ripped apart by the issue of Palestine. She called it a litmus test. Now, if you're brave enough to see, or if you're brave enough to oppose what they call genocide, the grassroots won't trust you on anything else. This is why radicals like Zoran Mandami are gaining so much steam. He didn't just win despite his stance. He won because of it. Even many Jewish voters back this guy. Meanwhile, Jeffries is seen as tied to big donors, especially AIPAC. So here's the tension here, guys. Do Democrats side with their radical grassroots, or do they cling to corporate donors and foreign lobbyists? I don't know. Either way, this is a war they cannot win. And so here's a contrast. So while the Democrats are drowning in their own contradictions, Trump is standing firm with America first. He's not bowing down to donors. He's not playing identity politics. He's making moves that strengthen America's security, rebuild our economy, and protect our people. The Democrats, they're fighting over slogans. Trump is delivering results. And if you think Jeffries dodging on Palestine was bad, wait until you see what happened when he was asked to endorse Zoran Mandami directly. That moment shows everything wrong with Democrat leadership. So if you thought the letter fiasco was bad, just wait for this. Hakeem Jeffries, he went on a very friendly podcast, not Fox, not Newsmax, but a Democrat-friendly outlet, and he was asked a very simple question. Why won't you endorse Zoran Mandami? And what did Jeffries do? He danced, he dodged, he filibustered. He did everything that he could do to not answer the question. He gave one of those classic Democrat word salad answers where every sentence passes through 10 filters before anything comes out. Yeah, so instead of, answering, he talked about scheduling meetings, bringing in community leaders, and making, maybe considering it sometime in the future. But he wasn't going to commit to anything during this interview. So the host actually got frustrated. I mean, you could hear him in his voice. He said, why not endorse him? It's not that hard. So even a left-leaning interviewer couldn't get a straight answer. And that's right there. That right there, folks. This is the problem. Democrats cannot be authentic. They cannot speak authentically. They can't lead decisively. They can't even answer a softball question without looking terrified of offending somebody. So now I want you to compare that to Trump. Okay. When Trump speaks, you pretty much know exactly where he stands. He's very decisive. He's very direct. And yes, he's not afraid to offend the elites. That leadership, guys, right there is exactly what America needs. That is leadership. But Jeffries, he's just proving Trump right again. So here's really where the hypocrisy cuts even deeper. For years, Democrats were telling their base that this is a war, that saving democracy meant standing up for and essentially risking everything. They told their people that Trump was a dictator who had to be stopped at all costs. So what does the base expect? They expect sacrifice, dramatic resilience, dramatic resistance, leaders who are willing to throw their bodies on the line. And what did they get instead? You got Jeffries applauding a letter, Jeffries dodging questions, Jeffries giving lifeless interviews that leave even MSNBC hosts rolling their eyes. So if you look at it by their own standards, Jeffries is, in fact, a failure. By their own rules, he's a coward. And now the result is spilling out into the open. So here's the situation you really can't ignore. If Jeffries is their best option, then what does this really say about the Democrat Party's future? Like, if this is their leader, how can they possibly face off against Trump, a man who's proving every day that he's stronger, he's smarter, and he's more compassionate than the corrupt elites trying to tear him down? Can Hakeem Jeffries face off against J.D. Vance in 2028? I mean, and the humiliation really doesn't even stop there, because the White House press room has been one disaster after another, and Democrats cannot spin their way out of it. So reporters, they're getting shut down. Their talking points are backfiring, and Trump's administration is just walking away stronger. And so now let's talk about the fallout from those disastrous White House pressers, shall we? I mean, the media thought that they could, that they had Trump's team cornered. They thought that they could spin the meetings with Putin and Zelensky into some kind of a narrative of a failure. But every time they tried, it backfired. One New York Times reporter asked, if Trump's goal was to get everyone on the same page, why didn't he take Putin's call with Zelensky and the European leaders in the room? So isn't that disrespectful? Caroline Levitt hit back immediately. She said only the Times would ask something that ridiculous, and then pointed out the obvious. Progress was being made behind closed doors, and Trump was showing respect while still keeping America in the driver's seat. Simple as that, guys. The media wanted to make Trump look weak. Instead, they made themselves look petty. And so then really came the kicker, folks. I mean, the claim that Trump had solved 7 global conflicts in 7 months, okay? Now, of course, the media mocked it. They laughed. They tried to spin it into some kind of propaganda. But here's the truth. While Democrats wasted decades dragging America into endless wars, Trump is using strength, leverage, and smart diplomacy to actually pull us out of them. So once again, the Democrats' attacks collapsed under the weight of reality. And that reality, folks, keeps hitting them harder and harder every single day. I mean, look at Trump's agenda. He's not sitting in the White House giving speeches. He's acting. 3 U.S. warships and 4,000 Marines sent to Venezuela, not to start another forever war, but to protect Americans from a narco-terror regime that's been funneling drugs into our communities for years. That's not weakness. That's strength. He's reshoring semiconductor productivity. He's making sure that America is not at the mercy of China or global supply chains. That's not ideology. That is compassion for American workers, putting their jobs and their security first. And while Democrats are mocking him for staying up late, Trump is literally awake at 2 a.m. He's on the phone with European leaders, hammering out ways to secure peace and protect our allies. That's not chaos. That is clearly commitment. So here's a question, right? Do you want leaders who act or leaders who stall? Do you want a president who delivers results for Americans or a Democrat party that can't even decide if their leader should survive the week? I mean, like, seriously, guys, because the contrast is crystal clear to me. Democrats are collapsing under their own weight while Trump is standing tall, standing and leading with strength and proving right, like, everything that he said about the broken political establishment before he became president. So if you think the Democrats' humiliation has bottomed out, you really haven't seen anything yet, because what's coming next is their identity crisis, and it's ripping apart from the inside out. Now, here's the bottom line, guys. Democrats, they don't really know who they are anymore. The establishment, people like Hakeem Jeffries, Nancy Pelosi's wing, and the old guard, they're clinging desperately to power, but their base doesn't even believe in them anymore. Not after years of broken promises, not after watching them fold against Trump again and again and again. Meanwhile, the radicals, you got Zoran Mondami, AOC, Bernie Sanders, the socialist wing, they're trying to seize control. They're offering dangerous, destructive ideas, but at least they're speaking directly to the base. Now, that's the problem. Neither side offers real solutions for the American people. The establishment is very weak. The radicals are reckless, and together they're just dragging the Democratic Party straight into the abyss. Donald Trump, he warned us that this was going to happen. He said Democrats stood for nothing but resistance, that their only mission was to oppose him no matter what. And he said that they would essentially implode because they had no vision, no values, and no plan. And today, Trump has been proven right. So here we are, folks. Hakeem Jeffries has effectively been kicked out by his own party. Democrats are in open panic. They're fractured, they're humiliated, and they're desperate. And in the middle of all of this chaos, Trump is doing exactly what he promised, leading with strength, putting America first, protecting our people, and proving to the world that he was right all along. Now, this is the choice. This is the choice that's staring Americans in the face right now. Now, on the one side, collapse, weakness, infighting, and failure. But on the other side, results, patriotism, compassion, and strength. The Democrats just cannot hide it anymore. Their panic is spilling out for the world to see. Their leader has been humiliated. Their party is tearing itself apart. And their nightmare is just beginning. Because while they fight each other, Trump is fighting for us. So tell me in the comments down below, guys, do you think Jeffries survives this revolt? Like, do you think that this is the end of Jeffries as we know it? Or is this the moment that the Democratic Party finally rips itself apart? Now, do not go anywhere, because YouTube thinks that you're going to love the next video that just popped up on your screen. And I think you will too. So click it right now, keep watching, and let's break down even more of the truth that the Democrats don't want you to hear. Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below.